Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final from a busy and chaotic Icehouse in the Moss Pit in the Plaza. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Tom Gazzola with you. Stephen Whyno from the Associated Press back for this Stanley Cup Final once again.
We're back doing this again.
We're back, Steve. And Hernan Salas back at EST Global HQ. Joaquin Gage will join us. He is our game analyst. Of course, you can text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube as well. Of course, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. All right, Steve, you're back on the show. It's good to have you.
Good to be back.
I'll put the mic up a little bit closer to your mouth. Sorry about that. There we go.
Here we go.
Good to be back. There you go. Natso's levels sound good, I think.
Yeah, they're good.
How has this experience at the Cup Final in Edmonton been for you?
It's been more normal. Like every player's been saying it's more normal than last year. It feels more normal.
Yeah.
It feels like it's not a novelty anymore that the Oilers are in the Stanley Cup Final.
Yep.
And now it just feels like they belong here. And like the city's crazy. I mean, we're seeing this in front of us here at the Icehouse. Just people. Big Bird is in line for the Fan Fest. We've got people in blue and orange everywhere. I mean, I know you guys are used to this from the whole playoff run, but coming from Washington, coming from there and seeing this, it's an insane hockey market, man.
It is cool. Savage is here with his kids. What's up, you guys? All right. Hi, Natso. How are you doing? You're doing great. Sounding good on the Reed Wilkins show. How you holding up today?
Pretty good, man. Just excited to get this game 2 underway. See what both teams bring. I mean, both teams had their moments, and the Oilers were able to get it on the power play the other night. So expecting another battle, boys, another bloodbath. I expect Kachuk to be more involved in this one. So ready to go, man. Ready to go, see what happens. And like we always do, we'll preview the you-know-what out of this game. And excited to get going, man. Excited.
Likewise. Let's throw the question of the night out there, and we'll get Steve to answer it first if we could do that.
Yeah, of course. It's always a pleasure to have Steve Whyno on the show. I think he was he with you last year, Tom? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I
remember tuning in.
Game 5, yeah.
Hudson's Bourbon Street.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. All right. Question of the night, boys, tonight for the Edmonton Oilers, Florida Panthers is, what does Florida have to do to get this back to Florida with the split? Because, okay on the special teams, 5-on-5, really good second period, one bad goal on Bob. But what do they have to do? Because they were pretty good for a lot spurts of the game to win this one tonight.
What would you say, Steve?
Yeah, I think Sergei Bobrovsky needs to be better, and that's the big thing. And he did allow that bad goal to Victor Arvidsson in Game 1, and not a whole lot of fault on some of the other ones, but there were moments in that Game 1 where Sergei Bobrovsky looked like the Bob, looked like the guy who helped the Panthers win the Stanley Cup last year, and he needs to be great. And I think because you're not going to be able to stop Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl or contain these guys, Chris Knoblock has that nuclear option to go to if he wants to load up on that. They're going to start on separate lines, but I think Bobrovsky is the most important player on the ice tonight.
I'll throw this in, and that's so like I feel like I'm not going to disagree with Steve, but I feel like the Panthers are right there still.
They are,
and there is such a slim margin of difference between Edmonton and Florida. I know people are pointing out like the depth and Paul Maurice,
and that's the real thing.
Willing to throw every line out there. I truly do think we're going to see a big counterpunch from the Panthers tonight, and I don't think there is a huge difference between the two teams. So
no, they're very evenly matched. And the depth is a real thing because the Oilers have a fourth line of veteran players who've been there before, and the Panthers have a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the depth that you lose from winning a Stanley Cup and having your roster picked over. But these teams are very close. The one bounce goes the other way. Stuart Skinner doesn't make that save early in overtime. We're talking about the Panthers leading the series 1-0.
So what would you say to your question of the night?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Florida, in order to win, is they're not the LA Kings. They're not rolling nine forwards and 4 defensemen. I think Schmidt, Kulikov played well, but when the game got close and the game got tight there late in the third and into overtime, they didn't see much ice. And I think any team that plays the Oilers has to roll 6 defensemen and 12 forwards. And listen, I know the top guys get more ice time. I understand that, but because for me, Florida looked fatigued in overtime. They iced the puck like 6-7 times, guys. The penalty was a fatigue penalty over the glass. So for me, I think Paul Maurice, and he's trusted all of his guys on his roster throughout the playoffs. He kind of went away from it late in the stages in game one. I think he's got to put the trust in them and roll them out, because if not, the Oilers feast on that, because the Oilers roll everyone.
What say you? 780-218-9999. Getting to the nasty chat as well. Troll texting in says, LFG, go Oil, Rip City step. Was teasing Jay Milne earlier. I like that. I appreciate that. What do you say to the question of the night? What do the Florida Panthers need to do tonight to get this win? Okay, Steve, one thing I have heard a lot of is it feels like this is a different Oilers team. To you, what does that mean? Do you sense a different Oilers team?
Yeah, and they are deeper and all that. And they've been through this before. And I know it's a cliche to say you got to lose before you win, but this is a team that they've been through it before, and it feels not like a new thing. It really does. Like, this is a team that McDavid's been here before, Draisaitl's been here before, and Stuart Skinner had a great line after the game the other night. He's like, when the Stanley Cup got brought out on the ice last year, we kind of looked at it with googly eyes.
Right.
Like I really want that thing. Now it's just like, okay, let's back to work. Like, it was just a very business-like approach, and that's what this team looks like this year more than anything else. Is a very business-like, tactical sort of tactician approach that the Panthers looked like last year, and the Vegas Golden Knights looked like the year before that. That they're healthier, they're deeper, and they're also healthier this year. I know missing Zach Hyman's a big thing, but Evander Kane is healthy. Matthias Ekholm is back. Draisaitl and McDavid aren't as banged up as they were this time last year, and you can't discount that.
That's true. What did you think of Alexander Barkov's first game of the series?
You know what? Paul Maurice was asked about this and said he liked it. I felt like he was a little invisible in game one. And not to say that he has to be piling up a bunch of points. Alexander Barkov was one of the best players on the ice in Game 7 last year, in part because he was able to contain Connor McDavid. But he wasn't able to do that. And the Oilers and Chris Knoblock are able to sort of get the matchups at home, obviously, with the last change. But Barkov was not a noticeable player. And along with Bobrovsky, probably one of those guys who needs to lead the charge for the Panthers. If they're going to have that sort of big counterpunch that you're expecting, and I think a lot of us are expecting, Alexander Barkov is going to be that, because we know Matthew Tkachuk is not healthy, still has that groin problem from the Four Nations face-off that he's dealing with. He's not the same player he usually is. And with that sort of gap, you got Sam Bennett stepping up, and the Panthers need Alexander Barkov to step up.
Nancy, you got anything for Steve?
Yeah, Steve's interesting about the Barkov. What did you make of Matthew Tkachuk? Because I remember here on the post-game show, a bunch of us were saying, I don't think he was terrible. Like, I don't think he was bad, but he wasn't Tkachuk that we're used to seeing. So that's why tonight I'm expecting Tkachuk to be way more involved. But what did you see from Matthew Tkachuk, who's such a big piece for this team?
I saw him almost get a little off his game because of Evander Kane. And a little bit of the talking that Evander Kane does, a little bit of sort of just the agitating after the whistles, even during play. I think Tkachuk maybe got caught up a little bit into the sort of war of words and pushing and shoving with Evander Kane. And really, he's still not 100% from that groin injury from Four Nations face-off. And so he's not able to sort of do that. He's never been a great, fast skater, right, but he's not as effective at the things he's usually good at doing. And really, this is the same thing that happened to him in the Vegas series a couple of years ago. When he's not 100%, the Panthers are not 100%.
780-218-9999. It is the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show live on location at the Canadian Icehouse. Big shout out to Tim, who did a great job getting everything set up, alongside my brother Paul, who's enjoying a delicious golden libation, which I would like to have post-game.
Post-game,
yes.
we'll be doing that, yeah.
Hey, how has the hospitality been this time around, Steve, compared to last year?
It's been great, and we actually were able to get a seat at Kelly's after the game the other night, which was really nice. I think the overtime.
You went with the mayor.
Yeah, CBD was there. We had a bunch of our sort of Canadian and hockey writers from across the country, across North America there. I love Edmonton. You know that. It is hard to get here. You guys all know that from the lack of direct flights everywhere. But once you're here, it's an amazing place.
That's the right answer. People will love that. All right. A couple more on these Florida Panthers and these Edmonton Oilers. If you're Paul Maurice, and we talked strategy, but does he have to have a rah-rah speech tonight, or is it just a calm, cool, measured approach for him to make sure that this is a series split going back to Florida, pardon me?
It's a calm, cool, measured approach for Paul Maurice, because that's who he is. That's what this team is. He's not a rah-rah guy. If they lose this game, he might rip them to shreds or skate them into the ground Sunday when they get back to South Florida. But right now, this is a Panthers aren't worried sort of situation. Like, this is such a veteran, experienced team that is used to these situations. situations. They fell behind 2-0 in that series to Toronto Maple Leafs. They were down 2-0 and 3-1 in Game 3 of that series. And all the Leafs had to do was put the stake in the Panthers to sort of end this repeat bid, but they just keep coming back. This is a team that they're just so even-keeled, and once you see maybe them lose that, would be to say that the Oilers have an edge in the series. But until that happens, Paul Maurice is going to keep the same sort of measured message that he's done the entire time. There's a reason why they won 10 out of 11 playoff series since he took over as coach. He knows how to coach this team. I think he's gotten really good over the years at sort of knowing different teams, right? He coached the Jets differently and coached the Leafs back in the day and the Hurricanes differently than this group. And all that collective experience had prepared him to be a Stanley Cup champion and to sort of know what to say and what buttons to push. He even said it. He's like, I'm not changing my lineup, not a whole lot of adjustments. We just need to look back to form of what the Florida Panthers usually look like.
All right, so is that basically saying we're going to see the same type of game that we saw in Game 1?
Yeah, I think so. And you're right, icings there were the other night. There were 21 icings in that game the other night. 9 of them in overtime alone. But Paul Maurice mentioned this, that they were trying a lot of those stretch passes that they missed, and then you get ice the puck and you got to go back in your own zone. I think there's going to be some slight adjustments there for the Panthers, and they want to get a little more sustained offensive zone time. I think that the Oilers are going to be much better because they were turning the puck over like crazy the other night. I mean, you saw John Klingberg have the one right in front of the net that Stuart Skinner saved his bacon on. But I think that the Panthers had a relatively clean game, as long as they were sort of handling the waves that the Oilers were throwing at them.
Steve, if you're hungry, please have a bite to eat on my behalf. And I appreciate this. Maybe we'll get to do it again sometime in the series.
Sounds good. And enjoy everything tonight.
Oh, we will. Okay, if you're not having a bite to eat, I'll see you on the press box.
See you in the press box.
All right, there's Stephen Whyno from the Associated Press. Always fantastic to hear from him. Always has something good to say, and is not afraid to ask the tough questions when it comes to the National Hockey League. And he does cover the Washington Commanders as well of the National Football League. All right, Nancito, do you want to go inside the room or do you want me to rattle off lineups?
Well, we do have captain and coach in the good old holster here, so it's up to you, buddy.
All right, let's go inside the Oilers locker room. We have Joaquin Gage coming up in about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll get to some starting lineups. Let's do that. Let's go to Kapanen to start things off.
Well, the whole series is expected to be physical. You're a physical player. How do you kind of balance playing physical but making sure you kind of don't, cross the line, I guess, and pick up penalties that I'm sure you want to avoid?
Yeah, just try to be smart. I mean, there's a lot of emotion out there at all times, but I think you got to keep it in check. And I think we've been doing a great job with that. I don't think we've been taking too many stupid penalties or unnecessary penalties. So we just got to keep doing that. We know that they got a good power play, so we just got to try to minimize our penalties, obviously.
What was your sense of the bench and the group when you guys were down 3-1 early in that game? Like, what did you like about how the group responded?
This group has been responding all year, and especially these playoffs. So we've been down a lot, and if you look at that LA series, I don't think we led at any point, and the guys kept on battling back. So we know as a group we can always come back. We're never out of it. So I think that was our mentality that game, and it worked out for us.
Casper, you played in a lot of different markets, but I don't know if you've ever gone to see with the Oilers here. What is it like when it's not a non-hockey day? Like you guys had a day off yesterday. You played 3 rounds. What is it like in this town? Do you try to kind of stay in the bubble, or do you walk around and go out?
I think just days off at this point, you're just trying to rest as much as possible and then take it easy. And whether that's being home or you go for a walk or whatever you want to do, I just like to get my mind off of hockey a little bit and just kind of hang out at home and take it easy. And it's been working out good so far. So that's sticking to the game plan.
I mean, you certainly have play in game 1. Like, what stood out?
It's just incredible. I mean, I played that first game in that Vegas series, and then the next one against Dallas, and it's just the atmosphere just keeps getting better and better. So it's I think Freddie called it hockey heaven, which is pretty close to what it is.
It's great when the margins are so slim. Separate hockey is so fun. How much are you relishing how difficult it is?
Yeah. I mean, that's as hockey players, these are the games that we live for and we dream about. So being here, obviously, you want to play as well as you can and rise to the occasion. And I think that our team's been doing that throughout the playoffs, and we just got to continue from here. There's still it's a long road ahead of us. We need 3 more wins against a good team, so it'll be the toughest 3 wins for us. But I think when we put our best out there, we can do it for sure.
What's it going to take for you guys to continue on?
Yeah, more or less the same. I think throughout that game we were the better team. They have their moments as well, and that's hockey. There's going to be momentum shifts, but we just got to try to not panic as much as possible and stick to the game plan. And like I said, when we're playing at our best, we're a tough team to beat.
All right. I mean, obviously, when you're on the ice, you're focused. But when you kind of on game one, when you looked around and you looked at the stands, and I'm sure you can hear them in here before you go out there. That's got to be a goosebump moment.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, the building gets loud, and especially when they sing "O Canada," it's a cool thing to be a part of as well. So I'm just excited to be here and to witness it.
All right, that was Kasperi Kapanen as he's put together a pretty strong postseason, wants to maintain the good play, and that leads to good results, and we've seen that from him. A pleasant surprise, in my opinion, and more of that, please, as we welcome in Joaquin Gage, our game analyst tonight, filling in for Matt Cassian. Good evening, Gager. You were fantastic on ESC afternoons. I was listening as I was making my way back from Calgary, and you look even better right now and more amped up and excited. And I know what Kasperi Kapanen had to say probably motivated you right now, right?
Tommy, you had me at hello, and you didn't have to talk about me glowingly like that. But no, it's exciting. Like to hear Kapanen, gosh, he doesn't sound Finnish at all. That's the result of probably growing up in the U.S. This is funny. Just trying to stay that even keel, right? That's what I took from that. Going for walks, staying at home, trying to get the rest, get your mind off it a little bit, because it can be overwhelming. Even though the Oilers are in a good spot, they want to, the old adage, you don't want to let your highs get you too high or your lows get you too low. He's been fantastic in this playoff so far. You'd have to say, like it's funny how you find a role and you stick to it. Reed and I were talking about it too. The part of I think the brilliance of Coach Knoblock is allowing players to be themselves a little bit, not overwhelming them with information. Just go play. I think it was you I heard, Tommy, because I think you witnessed it at the beginning of the playoffs that there was extended conversations at center ice with both Kapanen and Skinner, Jeff Skinner, I'm saying, and both have you can say have left their mark on this playoff run so far.
We'll see if they can finish the job. 3 wins to go, and this team could be hoisting that beautiful silver trophy. All right, Game Changers with Joaquin Gage. Brought to you, as always, by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area. For over 17 years, he and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. You didn't just call it Game Changers, you called it Game Changers tonight. The Golden Snitch, Joaquin.
So I'm not sure if you read the books, Tommy, but the Golden Snitch is what in the game of Quidditch from the Harry Potter world, if you capture the Golden Snitch, the game is over. So, but my meaning for saying the Golden Snitch is for the Edmonton Oilers to keep doing what they're doing. Don't try to win this series in one game, one shift, which they've done a masterful job of. Staying within the game. We've seen how they've, Hernan was saying today how even when the Oilers were down 3-1, you didn't feel like the game was over or out of reach. And their ability to stay within their systems, to not panic, to try to do too much, to allow, and I think that was kind of the reasons why these teams are in the finals, of course, is their ability to stick within their systems, right? The Florida Panthers, that is a team where you cannot be giving the puck away or trying hope plays and things like that. And that's what Edmonton did. And that was the result of them, I think, getting back into that game. They didn't allow the Florida Panthers to extend it, even within the second period when they really pushed.
Gager, we both know I don't know how to read, so joke's on you.
You might have watched the movies, Tommy. I don't know.
No. Definitely have not seen a Harry Potter, but great reference. I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, oh, good job, Joaquin. Good job, Joaquin. Natso, do you want to add anything to that, or do you want me to move on?
No, let's move on. A great point by Joaquin Gage there. I have also not read those books, so
Okay, thank you. That makes me feel better because I have no idea what the hell that means, but sounded cool.
Well, there's two more, Tommy, so don't worry about it. You'll learn.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now, trying to interpret these jagged and squiggly lines that you put together here. So point number 1 was the Golden Snitch. Point number 2, the Half-Blood Prince.
So, referring back to book 6, I do believe, Tommy, the Half-Blood Prince.
Of course.
Is Professor Snape, teacher of the dark arts. The dark arts are a big component of this series, and there's no other players that wield the dark arts on the Florida Panthers like Tkachuk. I expect him to have a much better game. Just the play within the whistles, the Brad Marchand's, the cross checks, the discipline of Edmonton to stay away from that type of stuff, but also not putting up with it themselves. There, you saw Wallman at a point when the puck went over, the yelling in the face, telling players obviously that this is probably the reason you guys are going to lose the game. That fine line of walking it. It can't. You don't want to go too far and have it overwhelm you and start thinking about things other than the most important component of this game is winning. But playing within that muddy area of the game, I think is beneficial. We saw what they could do to Ekblad, what they did to Jones. They finished every single check, like wearing down that D. Maybe a little conversation in between whistles with them. But I think the battle of the dark arts is another area of this series. Who can do it better, I think, has a better chance of hoisting that gorgeous trophy that you just alluded to.
Yes. Really quickly, I want to set the scene here. There's a lot of ladies. I don't think it's a batch. I'm seeing flamingos. It's a 40th birthday, and then I'm also seeing people with pink ponies. Seriously, they're and they have little cowboy hats. Ladies, most. I haven't seen a guy with a pink pony, but they're riding around pink ponies. So people are really buying in, getting the costumes going, and I can appreciate that. So well done, Oil Country, as people are feeling it tonight.
Well, we were doing today, Tommy. We were Nanzo. One of the questions in Zach to the Future was a Tina Turner song that's simply the best that I believe Glenn Anderson had on repeat on his Discman on the plane, right? So every year or whatever, there's something, whatever it is, could be a song, could be whatever, the thing you're putting pucks in, but something that everyone rallies behind. I think it's great that the Oilers have, not that Chappell Roan, or I think that's her name.
Chappell Roan, yeah. I don't know much about her. I've read a little bit to enlighten myself, but yeah.
She could be performing Game 5 back here. That's what I hear. I don't know. But
I don't know how you top Triumph.
But no, it's just I like that. I like the fact that that it's being embraced. Let's just say in Oil Country with the music in the room after a win with the Edmonton Oilers.
They're getting, the vibes are good in here. They're feeling it. It is certainly being embraced without question. All right, it is Game Changers with Joaquin Gage in for Matt Cassian. Game Changers, as always, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Point number 1 on Game Changers was the Golden Snitch. The Half-Blood Prince is point number 2. And then, as Joaquin dubbed it tonight, Game Changers, Avada Kedavra? Avada Kedavra? What is that? What
Tommy,
is
that's the killing curse right there. That's illegal in the wizarding world to use.
Is it? Oh, my bad.
Taking care of business at home. Taking the will and passion out of the Florida Panthers. What they've been able to do in the last 2 series against the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes. Same thing you could say what the Edmonton Oilers have done. The look in their face. Yeah, I don't think you'll ever get this Florida Panthers team to quit at all, but you want to make sure you take care of business at home. Win your home games. This was the whole thing last year. Would it have been a different outcome if Game 7 was back in Edmonton? You want to put pressure on this team going back to Florida with the opportunity for the Edmonton Oilers to have their foot on the head of the snake, right? You want that look in their eyes, like in the third period, being you want Ekblad. I remember that look in Game 6 back here last year. I know the game was completely out of reach at that time, but you saw the look in Barkov and Tkachuk's eyes, like, okay, let's move on to the next game. That's what you want. You want that whole team as a whole to think, okay, well, they've taken care of business home. Let's move on and see what can happen in Florida. And hopefully for Edmonton Oilers and Edmonton Oilers fans, they can take a 2-0 lead back down to the Sunshine State.
Nicely done, Joaquin. Nicely done indeed. Nancito, do you want to jump in with anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, man, if they can grab this game, Tom, I think Reed was just stating facts. This could be the last home game for the Edmonton Oilers. Like he not
did state up. Those are facts. Possibilities.
Facts. Yeah,
possibilities.
It's a damn straight possibility. Yeah, but if they can grab this game, Tom, holy smokes, man, it's going to be unreal. I like what Gage just said there about the physicality. Like, guys, like the Oilers and the Panthers have not faced an opponent like each other, right? Like, I'm sorry, Carolina was not physical. Toronto, sure, to a certain extent, not really. Tampa Bay, no. For the Oilers, outside of the LA series, maybe, guys. Like, the Oilers have ran everybody's show. So now both these teams come in here and they're like, Florida's like, we're gonna lean on them, and then they get met with resistance, right? They're like, oh wait, they're gonna do the same to us. So that's why it's such a fascinating battle. But like Gager said, don't let it get out of hand. Don't take stupid penalties. Don't do anything to cost your team. But I just can't wait to see the physicality, because I do believe Florida's gonna ramp it up tonight, boys.
I don't disagree with that. And I wanted to rehash the question of the night from you, Hernan, to get it out to the viewers and listeners one more time. I kind of want to hear what some thoughts from Gager as well. Like, does Paul Maurice need to change much tonight, Gager, in your opinion?
I think he does.
Like what would you look at first and foremost?
The implementation of personnel during the game. I think there's an automatic, it got to the point they were up a goal going into the third. The mindset changes a little bit, with not much with the Florida Panthers. They still seem to play the same type of style, but it's only natural that, if you have the lead going into the third, you play a little bit more defensive, and a way that like you'd see most players just, maybe just glassing out, getting it deep, going for changes. Coaches, in that regard, start shortening their bench. And we saw what happened. I think fatigue did play a little bit of a part of it, where you saw the minute allotment between the forwards defenseman and Florida's defenseman and Edmonton's defenseman was completely different, right? They played a little bit more, where it was more even throughout the Oilers lineup. So maybe that's something he will look at later on, especially if the same kind of situation arises with them leading in the third period. You don't want to get into the overtime scenario where guys start getting fatigued. And then obviously we saw what the end result was continuous pressure and a puck over the boards, and Oilers took care of business on the power play. So I think you'll see I do think you'll see different ways that Paul Maurice puts his guys out there and distributes the ice time a little bit more. In the case of where this game is going, obviously it depends how it is, but we'll see. If you don't want to get to overtime with tired players.
I agree wholeheartedly. Something that Whyno said, though, that I found interesting was so correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misremembering this, but Whyno said Bobrovsky needed to be better. Maybe I'm paraphrasing.
No, he
paraphrasing that. Yeah, he said that, right? Like,
yeah.
Do you buy that, Gager? Did you see anything from Bobrovsky that you're like, not great?
I think that's a guy seeing Bobrovsky a little bit more than probably we do, and realize what he's capable of. And look, if you look at the goals that were allowed, there's a lot of times when Bobrovsky does stop. Those are stoppable pucks for him. They're good goals, though. I don't don't fault him on. I know the Arvidsson goal doesn't look great, but it's a good play by Podkolzin creating the screen, right? But that's a puck that, as a goaltender, you think I got to do a better job of fighting through that screen and finding that puck and stopping it. But I don't find. Maybe he's looking at it where Bobrovsky has to he has to win the goaltender battle. And at the end of the day, Stuart Skinner won it. And last year in Game 1, Bobrovsky stole that game from the Edmonton Oilers. That could have changed the whole series. So Oilers have to make sure they make it tough on him. Don't allow him to have those types of games. And how do you do that? Traffic. You make sure he can't see the puck. You don't want him to start feeling good about himself. Take away his ability to be aggressive, too, I think is crucial. He is a very aggressive goaltender with the great lateral ability. But you want to try to keep him from being able to take his ice back, getting to the above the top of the crease in some instances, right? So it's not only just shot selection, but it's body placement against Bobrovsky that I think the Edmonton Oilers have to not do a better job of, but maybe, a little bit more awareness of where he is and how I can keep him in his net so he can't see it and limit his ability to go side to side.
Over under set at 6.5 tonight. Over or under, Joaquin?
I already said the over, Tommy, earlier on our show, so
my bad.
I gotta stick with it. I did pick the under last game, but yeah, I think this is going to be another 4-3 win for the Edmonton Oilers.
Ooh, spicy, Joaquin. Spicy indeed. Great stuff filling in forecasts on Game Changers, which you have renamed for tonight, and we appreciate that. What? Did you say Vital?
Yeah, I thought I was muted. I'll just say bye to Coop. Sorry. Oh, my bad.
Great work.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, we'll see you on the post-game show. Enjoy. There's Joaquin Gage, our game analyst, filling in for Matt Cassian with Game Changers. I didn't notice it till right when we got on the air, his points for Game Changers, but he added the expletive.
Yeah.
Which I can appreciate. And well done, Joaquin. Well done indeed. All right. Text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. Nanso, you seen anything good before we go back inside the, the media center, we should call it?
I'm seeing a lot of people text in the Oilers need to score first. I get it. They scored early last game. Tom got the crowd into it, and Florida shut it up pretty quick. For me, you always want to score first, Tom. It's obvious. But if there's one team that I don't think it matters, is the Edmonton Oilers. To be quite honest with you, I'm totally confident in their ability down 1-0, even down 2-0. So I get it. You always want to score first, but I don't think for this team it's the worst thing if they're down 1-0. Florida's going to bring it. Of course, the crowd's going to be into it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's going to be, we're all saying about the depth here. Are you going to be able, is Paul Maurice going to change the way he kind of handled his lines and his defensemen? I mean, that to me is a big story. And I know Bob, the one goal was kind of weak, but I thought he was really good throughout the night, Tom. So, yeah, is he going to have to steal a game? Maybe tonight, that's the night, and maybe that's what they need. Who knows? But, I mean, Bobrovsky's done it. He's a wily old vet. I don't think if you're a Florida fan or part of that organization, you have any concerns with Bob. So, man, it's I can't wait till 6:20, man. It's going to be unreal. Just the vibe of this game and just the storylines, within the game, right? Deployment, goaltending, special teams, 5-on-5, the physicality. Is Tkachuk going to show up,
Right. Well, he'll be there physically.
Yeah.
Well, he'll be all there like we've seen him in years past, certainly last year during the postseason. All right, keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat. How you feeling going into this game, too? A lot of people feeling pretty good from what I'm hearing. So I was listening to our station all day long. Let's get to your game day odds check. Brought to you by our partners over at Play Alberta. You can make your bets count for you and everyone else with the Play Alberta app. With hundreds of player prop bets on the biggest leagues, NFL, CFL, NHL, NBA, MLB, you name it. You're not just playing for fun. You're supporting your province. Play Alberta Revenue helps fund Alberta programs and services. Deposit today with promo code YEG50, Y-E-G, all caps 50. Get an EST exclusive $50 free bet to get started. You can also use EST Sports for a $50 free bet. That is if you use it with a $20 deposit. That's an EST exclusive promo. All right, let's look at your money line, your puck line, and the over-under. Money line sitting at minus 111 each, Nanso.
Whoa.
Yeah, that changed. I checked it last night as I was prepping. I figured it would move, and it has. So Play Alberta has the money line at minus 111 for both the Panthers and the Oilers. The puck line for Florida, plus 190 for the Oil, minus 303. And then we were talking about the over-under set at 6.5 tonight, and the over is minus 105, the under minus 133. That is your game day odds check brought to you by Play Alberta. We're going to go back inside the media center at Rogers Place. We're going to hear from head coach Chris Knoblock, right, Nanso?
That is correct.
That is correct. And then we'll get you your starting lineups right after we hear from the head coach, Chris Knoblock.
I just wanted to ask about momentum and how much you think it affects players after a win heading into the next game, and if you use that as a coach.
No, I don't think momentum has much impact. I think it feels great after a win, but I think the next day it's completely gets eliminated, and it's a new game from there.
And for me, just in terms of your team's ability to come back in games, what do you kind of notice about them on the bench when you're down a few goals, the way they handle themselves in those stressful moments, and if you've seen that grow a little bit?
Obviously, they're an older team. They've been through a lot. They've seen a lot of experiences, games, up and downs, and they are very level-headed. They don't get discouraged. They have a strong belief that no matter what happens, they can overcome it, whether it's a lead that's maybe slipping away or a lead that we have to overcome and really push. We change our game a little bit, little details. Maybe we become a little more assertive, a little more aggressive on trying to score a goal, whatever it is. But our base, our structure is all pretty similar, and we don't deviate from our plan very much. And I think that's really nice from a coach's standpoint to see the guys stick with it and feel that they can overcome anything.
Right side, front row. Hey, Chris. We're in an era where a lot of goalies will not talk on game day, and then today you had Stuart Skinner stand there and talk to 3 waves of reporters coming in. I just want to ask you about his demeanor and his play right now, and just the confidence he seems to have and the confidence you guys have in him in this final.
We've got a lot of confidence in our goalies, and both of them have showed that they can win us games. Stu started, and Pix came in and gave us 6 starts, I believe. He was 6-0, and unfortunately got injured, and Stu came in, and since Stu's coming in, he's been phenomenal. And I don't know, I think both those guys right now, you look at them and they're just enjoying the ride. Obviously, I think a lot of the guys are. We've got a good group of guys who like being together and like playing hockey. So it's just ideal. It's June. Not many guys are playing hockey right now, and they're enjoying the moment. And Stu's no different. And like anyone, they want to have success. They want to be playing well, and doing well, and he is. But I like that he likes being in the situation he's in.
Stay up front.
You've coached Connor McDavid for a long time, going back to Erie. I'm wondering what you've seen change in his sort of demeanor and how he handles himself. Or he was your captain in Erie and all that, not a young man anymore. But what have you sort of seen in sort of his development as a person?
Well, when I was coaching him in junior, he was a young man, as you said, but he was very mature. And even when I was coaching him at 15, he was mature beyond his years. And I remember the players having extreme amount of respect for him, where some guys could have felt, here's this young 15-year-old coming in, young guy taking over and wanting to be in the spotlight. He didn't want to be in the spotlight. He wanted to deflect that attention to his teammates. As for him now, I don't necessarily see him change that much. He's a very mature man. He's very cognizant of his teammates. He's very driven to win. It's opposed to being a teenager to now somebody who's in his 20s. It's very similar. Just he's 10 years older now.
Right side, fourth row.
Chris, there were 102 hits total in the first game. Your team had just 2 penalties. I'm curious, your maturity level on your group, having gone through a lot of playoff games for the most part through your entire roster, how much does that help in terms of playing a physical game but not reacting to Panthers' physicality and kind of walking that fine line, if you will, of playing physical but not, doing anything that'll get unnecessary penalties?
Yeah, no, physical play is definitely something that's important, whether it's the regular season or the playoffs. Obviously, it ramps up in the playoffs. But, physical play is important, but probably staying out of the penalty box is more important. So we want to be as physical as possible without taking penalties. And most penalties getting called are usually stick penalties. You being careless with your stick. It's the high sticking, it's the hookings, it's the trippings. Those are the plays. And usually those are just being in the wrong position or, wrong spot. So we want to check well. And I think to do that, you have to be moving your feet, having your sticks in good places. Once you get a step behind, that's where you get vulnerable to getting a hooking call or tripping or something like that. So, going forward through the series, we want to be as physical as possible. But the primary focus also is making sure that we're not giving them power play opportunities.
We'll do 2 more questions for Coach. Right side, third row.
Chris, this might be digging a little deep at a specific situation, but a year ago you guys go on the road, game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, you're the road team and you lose. Fast forward, Florida's the road team, game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, they lose. I wonder if it helps you, having been through it, understand the mindset of the opponent as you approach this game tonight.
I don't think that has any effect on what's going on right now. I think just answering the first question today about momentum and streaks or anything like that, I think it's important that you're reset. And I've said this throughout the run that no matter what happens, no matter if we won 6-1 or lost 5-0 or win the first game, second game, it's important that we shut it off. We enjoy or learn from that last game, but the new game's going to be different because we know the opposition's going to be playing better or changing their systems or their focus or something. We just have to be prepared to play the best as we can and get ready for that next game. So I don't think anything that happened last year has any effect on this series going forward.
Last question.
There's Chris Knoblock. Interesting thought on that question, Nat. So, is it affected, or how much of an effect, or I don't know how that was Dan, I think, that asked that one. Them being on the road last year and losing, them being at home this year and winning, I don't know. I think it feels like a different series completely.
Yeah, and that's, I think Knob said that. He's just I don't think it has anything to do with what's going on now. I mean, it's only one game too, right, Tom? And
right.
And keep in mind, because this is why you can't compare the previous year, I think, is because the Oilers dominated game 1 last year. Bobrovsky stole that one.
He couldn't score. Yeah,
and they couldn't score on him, but they were the better team. They outshot him. They were in the offensive zone the whole game. So whoever asked that, he said, he goes, this might be reaching, right? I thought it was an interesting question, right? So no issues with it, but I think Knob is right. I don't think you can take anything from last year into this series right now. You're only 1 game in too, right?
Yeah.
So
I think I know where he was coming from with that angle, but to me it doesn't really stick. But he recognized that when he asked it too, so that's fair. I mean, sometimes you get gold when you throw a different question out there, something that isn't already in the stream of consciousness among because everybody's talking, everybody's got a few little things that they have on their mind, and but if you come at the players and a coach with a different stream of thought, you might get a really good response. It's just maybe that one wasn't there.
It's a fresh question, right? It makes you
a fresh question. That's a good way to describe it.
Kind of makes you think of something different, right? It's like, is there something there? But yeah.
No, doesn't seem like it. Anyway, let's get to a couple of texts before we get to your starting lineups. Stu says, do they test for PEDs in the playoffs? Just curious, as the Panthers are a little filthy, and I wouldn't put it past them to get juicy. Well, Aaron Ekblad missed 20 games earlier due to PEDs in a failed test. Troll says, didn't Bobrovsky make like 40 saves last game? What is he supposed to do better? Score a goal?
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
That's a fair point. Like, I thought Bobrovsky was all right. I didn't love the Arvidsson goal. And a lot of people, every time I say that, they're like, well, there's a bit of a screen. There's a bit of a screen. You heard Joaquin talk about it too. I get it, but it still slipped through him. But I expect him to be very hard to beat again tonight. I really do. And the Oilers will have to solve him once again. Let's see if we get an excellent performance from Stu. I thought Stu was really good, Nanso, in that second period the other night. Schmokey the Bear. Schmokey the Bear says, I tune into the pregame show one time. Only one time, Schmokey. And I miss a Harry Potter segment. Or tuned in late, he says. Tuned in late. Okay.
You can rewind it.
You can always, scrub back and forth there. That's the beauty of YouTube. That's how we do it. And then you can always go back to this show on a podcast form on your audio streams. But I didn't. I mean, the whole Harry Potter. Someone
understood the references, Gage, because you and I had no clue.
No clue. Have not watched a single one of those movies or read any of the books. I know who the actors and actresses are from that movie more than I actually know about those movies. Well played, Joaquin. Well played. All right, let's get into your starting lineups brought to you by South Fort Chev. Go see Daniel and his team, and they'll give you $1,000 extra credit on your trade-in if you mention EST sent you. Drive a little, save a lot at South Fort Chev. See dealer for details, www.southfortchev.com. For the Oilers, here's what we're expecting from them this evening. Connor McDavid between Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Corey Perry. Leon Draisaitl centering Evander Kane and Kasperi Kapanen. Adam Henrique between Trent Frederick and Connor Brown. And this line I really like. Matthias Janmark with Vasily Podkolzin and Victor Arvidsson. On defense, Ekholm with Bouchard. Nurse with Kulak. Wallman paired up with John Klingberg. How reassuring was it to you, Nanso, to see Ekholm play 25-plus minutes? I know there was overtime involved. And also chip in offensively. Are you feeling good about where he is physically?
Because I remember that first game he played 15, and there was a lot of concern going into that game, but it's good to go. And he gave credit to the trainers and everybody that got him healthy enough to get back in these playoffs. And last game, he looked like Matthias Ekholm, man. And it's funny because, Tom, that goal he scored, it seems every time he scores, it's that same kind of goal. From that spot, top cheddar, right, to the glove side of the goaltender. And it's weird. He always scores like that. And just the calming presence that he is, he's just a fantastic hockey player. And I'll be honest, last game, if someone was watching for the first time, they would have never known that that's only his second game in the playoffs.
That's a good point. That's a very good point, actually. And then I'm just looking to see if we got updated Panthers lines. I know they can be a little bit ambiguous at this time of year. Let's see if Jamison Olive has put anything out there. I haven't seen anything from Jamison Olive.
Yeah, I just checked George Richards, too, and nothing.
Anything?
No.
Okay. Well, let's get to starting goalies then. In the meantime, what's up, boys? Oh, Tube Socks is here. Oh, Tube Socks knocking over the light. Watch out. Careful, EST nasties. For the Oilers, Stuart Skinner, 7-4 record, 249 goals against average, 904 save percentage, 3 shutouts in 11 games in these 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. Skinner versus the Panthers in the playoffs. Lifetime, 232 GAA, 908 save percentage in 8 games played versus Florida. And then at the other end of the rink, 36-year-old Sergei Bobrovsky, 12-6 with a 217 GAA, 917 save percentage. And that's in this postseason. Lifetime versus Edmonton in the playoffs, also 4-4 like Skinner, 273 GAA, 902 save percentage, 1 shutout in 8 games versus Edmonton over the course of his very illustrious career, award-winning career. And so we have what should be another goaltenders duel, another good battle between two good goals. You know what? I know they went and allowed 4 and 3 each, but they both made some really nice saves.
Oh, they were
so maybe duel's not the right term, but they look good at times.
It's just one of those things where it's like we always expect these goalies to have a shutout to say they were good. Like, they were good, man. Some of the goals were fantastic too. Like the Marchand on the power play, nothing you can do there. Sam Bennett on the breakaway.
Snipe.
Like the Draisaitl one's a broken play, the first one. The second one's a 2-on-1 with McDavid. That the Oilers are going to win that every single time. No goalie's going to stop that unless it's a complete fluke, Tommy. So sometimes you got to give credit to the shooters too, man. They make great plays. So I thought both goalies were really, really good in that game.
All right, I have updated Florida Panthers lines from Jameson Olive. They came out like a minute ago. Barkov between Verhaeghe and Reinhart, Nanso. Bennett with Rodriguez and Tkachuk. Lundell with Luostarinen and Marchand, so that line stays intact. Then you got Nosek between Boqvist and Gadjovich, so that stays the same. You were saying Gadjovich looked like he left for a little bit in that third period? Or was it OT? No, he was there for OT, wasn't he?
No, it was early on. He went to the room, but I think he came back and played a few shifts after that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, he's good to go. I know AJ Greer's been skating, and they're saying he might be a possibility, but it doesn't look like it's going to be tonight. On defense for the Panthers, Forsling with Ekblad, Mikkola with Jones, Schmidt with Kulikov. So there you go, the completed starting lineups brought to you by South Fort Chev. Let's get you to your Advanced Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report. Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists. You've got a bag of frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach that's trusted by the best in the game at Advantage Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today at www.advantagesportmed.ca or call 780-460-9977. For the Oilers, Zach Hyman, he was doing a segment with the panel on Sportsnet just a few minutes ago. Big cast in tow for that dislocated, busted up wrist. And then Alec Regula has been on IR for the entirety of the season. Knee. For the Panthers, AJ Greer still out, a lower body. That is your Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report. All right, we got a few texts we can wind things down with. RBM says, hi, friends. Hello, RBM. Cal in the park texting in says, evening, Tommy. Feel Florida will come out hard in the first stuff, and the D have to be ready. And Stu and the D have to be ready, and the forwards need to help out a lot. Would love to see a Frederick goal to get that third line going. Enjoy the game. See you Monday at BP's. Yes, we'll be at Boston Pizza Westgate for game number 3. It's funny because you can tell when people are doing voice to chat when they send us text, Nanso. And you can also, and then when an autocorrect takes over and you're reading it verbatim on the air. So he obviously wanted to say Stu and the D, Calvin Park did, but it came out as stuff. And I find I'm getting really annoyed by my autocorrect lately. Every time there's an update, something about it just jumbles it up. Anyway, I got you, Cal in the Park. I got you. Let's go to this one from Soggy Corpse. Oh, what a handle. Do you think that the boys still wind down with Mario Kart? Is Stu the champ still? There is a media scrum question. We want Soggy Corpse. We can try to slip that in there. I feel like whatever helps them get back to some semblance of normalcy, whether it be playing Mario Kart or not, they're doing it right now. They're trying to keep themselves in that right frame of mind. And you know what? You were talking about that too, Hernan, with the Elks. You were there at the walkthrough today, and you were saying they seem pretty calm, cool, and collected for a team that's going into the Lions' den, 50,000, 55,000 potentially. And everybody's picking the Lions in this one. But demeanor is a big thing. Confidence and swagger is a big thing. So however you get to that right frame of mind, whether it's Mario Kart or reading a book, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's huge. You just look at the Oilers this year. They're all business, man.
Let's see if they mean business and take care of business tonight. They will try to lay it all on the line. Triumph Nanso playing its first gig in 17 years. It's amazing. Yeah, that's phenomenal. All right, final thoughts from you, Hernandez.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, if the Oilers can win this one, man, they got a stranglehold on this series. I know they're going back to Florida, but man, they got to do everything in their power to get this one. Florida's going to be game. It's going to be a hell of a game like game one. Might even be better, Tom, because the stakes are getting higher and higher the deeper we go into this series. So I can't wait. And we'll chat with all of you in probably 3 hours, maybe more. Who knows?
Lay it on the line.
For Hernan Salas, Joaquin Gage, and Steve Whyno, I'm Tom Gazzola saying thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Enjoy Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final. Oilers looking to take a 2-0 series lead. Can they get it done? We'll find out. Join us on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show afterwards. Ciao for now.